Keon?
Yeah.
Hey, what happened to our sound on the last video?
It was same thing.
Was-
But so I think what happened that time was I started recording on the camera and then I put this piece on.
Yeah.
So I think since it was already recording, it didn't fully register. Because like you can see on this side, like, so basically what I'm looking for is like these levels to match the levels that appear on the camera.
Oh.
So like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it looks good, and then it ends up being not good.
Maybe
So-
start it for a second.
I was gonna. Well, I mean, is there something I can do to help you guys when you check it or when we start, so that doesn't happen?
Well, so right now when we were filming your other stuff, I tried plugging in headphones to this piece.
Yeah.
And so that works, but then it only makes sure that this is receiving it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going into the camera. So then we tried plugging headphones into the camera to see if we could hear it through there, and it wasn't working through there.
Damn.
So that's why I was like, okay, let me record it to the mic too, just in case. Because,
Well, at least you caught it on that. Did you say it was Keon?
yes, I
Okay, cool. I mean, that's perfect because I got to take my aminos anyways. And that we can, I don't know why I have like I feel like I have a runny nose. It's weird. It'll blow my nose. One of the things I want to include in this program that's different than anything we've ever done before is create a bulk and a cut cycle. And one of the things that, especially after this week I just had, I think is going to be mandatory is when you cut that it has to be, and obviously you'll get pushback from people, but whatever, it's my program, I'm going to write it the way I want. The cut has to be from home. Like, I was last week when I did the, 4 days in Florida, I was supposed to be on a calorie restriction, and because every meal was literally eating out, you trying to guesstimate, even like I was throwing like, probably an extra tablespoon of butter, probably an extra tablespoon of olive oil, trying to guesstimate everything. I still don't think I was perfectly accurate. And, when you're trying to run a small mini cut, that accuracy becomes more important. So I think part of the recommendation is going to be to run a cut, and your cut needs to be a good 7 days of home cooked meals. Because I already today's Tuesday, right? I've been back for 3 days. Is that right? 3 days? And already in 3 days, I feel like I can, 3 days of actually a home cut, because I decided to extend the cut for another week, of hitting my target calories, I already see a difference. And it's like, I'm pretty sure what probably happened in Florida is I don't think I put body fat on per se, but I definitely didn't probably lean out. So we'll count this week as the week of cutting. But so I had slowed down my Keon aminos because in the bulk, I was pretty consistent this last couple weeks of hitting 200, 220, and 220 is really where I want to be on the higher end to be safe on grams of protein. So I've been really consistent with that. I was less consistent with the aminos because I was hitting that. I'm not as worried about it. But now that I'm in a cut and I'm staying around 2,800 calories and I'm barely getting to 200 grams of protein, I'm going to do this, especially after that episode that we did with Angelo talking about that, in a caloric deficit, even with hitting the protein intake, there was room to show that there was proof that adding the EAAs had some value still. So I'm back to doing this 3 times a day during the cut for the people that care, right? I'm not talking to the people that are freaking out about us talking about EAAs. We still have people that are freaking out about that. Obviously didn't listen to the episode. And I guess I should state this on here because it's not something I assume that people are watching this also listen to the podcast, but I think it's been clear to me that there's a different audience. And even though you hear me talk about Keon's EAAs, you hear me talking about elements, sodium and stuff like that, none of that shit trumps diet. By far the most important thing of everything that I'm doing right now is consistently hitting my macros and trying to do that from whole foods. Like this last week of eating out was not ideal. Oh, you know what? Where's my little booklet? I want to make sure that I'm on track right now too. So, where are we? We deadlifted yesterday. Okay, we're going to do rows or pull-ups today. Rows or pull-ups. I'm actually going to reintroduce bench press, not barbell, but like dumbbell bench press. So we might do that. Maybe we'll do that today. Maybe we'll do some rows with the bench press today. I like that. We'll do probably light dumbbells just to test this out. But the chest has been feeling pretty good. I feel confident that I can do lightweight. While I was in Florida, we did a machine workout, and I did, I think, like 6 or 7 sets of light chest press, and it felt pretty good. So let's check it out today. Where's my suspension trainer? I like to do W's.
It's just behind there.
Is it behind there? Okay, cool. Oh, let's get our music going too, huh? You know, just for complete transparency with the audience, I am not in the mood to work out. And I think part of that is just getting back from vacation. I wasn't in the mood yesterday, not in the mood today. That's part of it. And so I know for sure I want to at least get some rows and presses. So here's the psychological game. So I'm going to tell myself, like, we got to accomplish that today. There's some other things I would like to do too, but I'm not going to overly stress that. If I can get in and at least get my rows, get my bench press done, get those 2 big movements, I'm going to be happy. We'll call it a successful day, getting back in the swing of things. But if I'm catch some momentum, I feel good, the workout starts to feel good, maybe I'll add some shoulder stuff in there also. So we'll see. But one of the things that I learned to do as I got older and more experienced was to give myself permission to not have the amazing 50-minute workout always. And hey, sometimes I'm going to come in and just, if I'm not in the mood to lift, at least touch some weights, do something, commit to that, something that I could easily go do. And then many times when the workout starts going, I start to find my rhythm and I feel good, and then it turns into a good workout. And then other times it's sometimes not. It's just that 1 or 2 things. But giving yourself that permission to do that was something I did not do early on in my career. Okay, W's. Who was using this bar? Was someone using that? I woke up on the lighter side today, about 212. Haven't been down there. Again, I'm sure whenever I fly, I always end up retaining and holding some extra water. And it takes about 48 to 72 hours for that to kind of like flush all the way out. So I think a combination, you add the fact too, eating out a lot, lots of sodium, lots of water retention. So I think the 3 days of home cooked meals, lower calorie again, back controlled for sure, lower calorie because I'm actually home and dieting. And this morning we already woke up light. Now the downfall of the mini cuts and the psychological mind fuck is that when I'm in a bulk and my muscle bellies are all filled up, I feel good. I feel stronger. I look fuller. I look better. And so one of the hardest parts about being and staying in a cut, especially for a person that likes feeling muscular and likes their body when it looks filled out like that, is you look depleted. Like in the bodybuilding world, we call that the flat look, because your muscle bellies are sucked out. All the glycogen, or a lot of the glycogen, is pulled out, and it doesn't fill you out as much. And so it can be a bit of a mind fuck when you're on this mission to reduce body fat and lean out, and you don't like the way your body's looking. And then if I were to have 2 days now of loading up and eating 4,000 calories, I would like the way my body looks 2 days from now after 2 days of 4,000 calories than the way it looks now, even though technically I'm heading in the right direction of leaning out right now. So that's part of the game. One of the hardest parts of staying consistent with the leaning out process is there's always this kind of like phase that you go through where you're like in the middle of like, I don't like the way it's looking, I don't like the way I'm feeling really, but just knowing to stay the course that if I keep going this direction, in a week or two, I'll look much leaner, and then I'll load up with calories, and then I'll have a new look that I haven't seen yet. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it sounds weird. That's how it works though. Did you get in a race car at all yesterday?
Yeah, I did a little.
Oh,
bit.
you did.
Probably spent like 30, 45 minutes on it afterward.
Okay. I'm gonna try and get like every day, although I haven't today, get like at least a track session in or so, you know, like little even increments, you know.
We'll have to start attacking the career mode too, so we can unlock more stuff.
Is that how we get unlocked all that stuff?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like a few tracks where it's like I tried to do the Nürburgring ring, but it was only like quarter of the mile or something. Like,
Oh.
the whole thing.
I did see that. There was a bunch that were locked. I didn't know if that's something we had to buy or I didn't know how we earned it.
Could be a combo.
I do know that I was talking to the guy when we first bought it, and like obviously that's the same one that all the pros use,
Yeah.
and so they're obviously they're out there racing on those tracks too. But you can't even enter in a race with them until you have a license, and the only way you get a license is you have to complete so much lap time so good with that are flawless without accidents. So if you keep getting accidents, that you get docked points, and I can't get I forget what the license is called. But it makes sense, right? Like imagine you're a pro and you race on that and you get some window licker like me who doesn't even know how to race on there very well, and I get to race against like a real race car driver and I'm doing really bad shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, then they feel like they can't. So they're only practicing against other people that are legit racers, you know?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Does manual work on there? Have you tried it yet?
I haven't done it yet, but I want to. I mean, that's part of why I wanted that. I miss having a manual. They don't, most sports cars these days, I mean, Porsche still does. Porsche's GT3 Touring is a manual, but very few supercars, exotic cars even have manuals anymore. Most all of them don't, unless you get like an older model. Let's bring this down a little bit. This Oura ring. So one thing about the Oura ring, when you do barbell work, I don't like it. Am I crooked? Is that crooked?
I think maybe it's because the weight's on the pad right there.
Is it? Can't tell. Not that it matters, just racking it, huh? All right. So we are in a strength phase, and I do want to lift heavy. I don't know if I want to get 5 reps of these, but I want to stay under 10. So we'll keep moving the weight up until 6 to 8 reps is hard. Kind of the thought process on that is similar to the mistake I made on my squats, right? I moved up so rapidly. Oh shit, did I not? Did I just do it? I think I did. Okay, huh? Quarter? I do quarters. I don't want to move up so heavy that I end up hurting myself, because this is already way heavier than we've done. In fact, I should have done 10s first. Maybe I'll do 10s first. I will do 10s first. And then hopefully we'll get up to the 25s. And I think the most that we've lifted on the row is 135, so we're already overloading here, and I don't want to go too fast up.
Yeah, it makes sense though why they would have it ranked like that, because even just like doing I tried to do the remote for one race yesterday.
Yeah.
I spun out and then I was trying to get back on track, and then one of the other racers came and just knocked me and then it screwed me up even more.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine that, like a real pro who's like working on his track time, how pissed he would be. Yeah, I mean, that's like how I used to be like playing basketball. I'm by no means a pro basketball player, but, you know, I used to hate playing pickup basketball in the gym at certain times because you get like the weekend warrior guy that just doesn't have the fundamentals down. That's how you always get hurt. I always got hurt on the court playing with players that didn't truly play basketball. Like people that play good fundamental basketball, it's just safer to play with them. They're not reckless.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Okay, we can go up. You know, doing this, documenting this whole process for you guys, and even putting together with this whole kind of minimalist approach of just a couple basic but important exercises every day. It amazes me how little it takes of the right exercises performed the right way to really reap a lot of great benefits. When I was younger, I was so interested in doing all the new stuff or the creative exercises or trying a new machine out or targeting a very small specific area of my body I was insecure about. And so a lot of my workouts were filled up of all these exercises that were just, I don't want to say worthless because no exercise is worthless, but it's filled up with a bunch of almost like empty calories, right? Like the value of those movements in comparison to a barbell row, a dumbbell chest press, a pull-up, a squat, a deadlift, all the movements you see us doing, like those big gross motor movements give you such big bang for your buck. I mean, so many muscles are incorporated and you can load it so heavy, so a lot of those muscles get worked really well versus doing these little isolation exercises that target a specific area of your body, just not a lot of return. And I guess when I was in my 20s and spending 90 minutes in the gym 6-7 days a week was something that I enjoyed, I'm just at a different place in my life. Like I want to put as little work into the gym to keep a healthy, strong, fit body as I age. And so when I approach the workout now, it's like, what's the least I can do in here to maintain that strength, that health, that physique? I wish I had learned that stuff early in my career and would have built a better base, would have been stronger in my squat, would have been stronger in my deadlift, stronger in my overhead press in my 20s. God knows where I would have been had I done that. About the only thing I say I did really well in my 20s was I've always been a strict stickler on form. I always knew the importance of technique, and I did obsess about form and technique even when I was young. So I did some things right. Just I missed out on a lot of other things. Okay. Somewhere between 5 to 8 here.
Is there a time and place when you would say it's okay to sacrifice a little bit of form and technique to get more weight?
Yeah, so Arnold used to talk about what we call cheat sets. And a cheat set is like throwing body English on an exercise. It is what I would consider a really advanced technique. And in the order of operation of getting good at an exercise and movement, I wouldn't want a client until I considered them really advanced, really proficient at training with perfect form before body English or cheat reps came into play. So I definitely would never teach it, but have I used it? Yeah, definitely. There's definitely occasions where I'm feeling strong. I've been building my volume up, and today I'm coming in and I want to move weight my body hasn't moved, and I'm gonna get after it, which means when I go to do, say, like a row like this, I'm gonna push weight, which probably, I think the heaviest I've been doing rows is maybe 275. So let's say I'm rowing 275, 315, which is serious rowing weight for me. And just to hold that weight, stabilize that while you're ripping it up and not have a little bit of play and momentum is highly unlikely. Now, why I would justify it for someone like me in that scenario is that I have really good control of my core, and I understand that my body's rocking and moving a little bit. And so I can get away with cheating like that and not risking a lot of injury. The average person who hasn't perfected the movement, doesn't have great body awareness, and they just mirror somebody who's doing that is probably not safe and smart. And I think that probably applies to almost any sport. I know we were just talking about car racing, but imagine the guy who's trying to teach someone how to race around the track for the first time. And you see some of these pros, they can come into a corner at full speed and drift around a corner and spinning the tires. But if you're just teaching somebody how to drive, you're not teaching that on the first probably year of their driving even. It's where you hold your hands, how to brake properly, how to trail brake, how to hit the apex. Let's master all that. Now that you've got that down really, really well, okay, now let's power slide into this corner a little bit. Let's let the car get a little loose and out of control, because you've gotten so comfortable with the car that getting it out of control a little bit, you still feel in control. I would give that as a good analogy as training in here. It's you've trained so well on bent over rows, so good for so long, that you know what perfect form feels like. You know everywhere you're supposed to feel it. You know if you're cheating a little bit. So, okay, now we can press the boundaries and do some things where we kind of break some of our own rules in order to just attain a new weight record. But the caveat to that is I could also train you your entire life and build the most impressive physique and never once use a cheat rep. So it's not necessary. It doesn't really give you that much value, especially for the normal person. But if I was Arnold Schwarzenegger, or I'm bodybuilder version of me who's at the peak pinnacle of his physique, fitness, and training, then okay, then there's I can see where it's okay to do something like that. But the average person who sees that and then tries to emulate it, probably not a good idea, There we go. That's good weight. 6. Was that 3, 4? Is that 4? We did 135, 10, 25. Yeah, that was 4. Okay, one more.
I realized car analogies in general work pretty well with the human body. Because even when we were starting full compression, I was if you wanted to, you could align it with healthy. Take care of your car, how you move your body.
Hey. I totally think that. So some of the stuff that we talk about, another way to use that as a car analogy is cheat sets, partials, all these things that we hear people do in the gym is like slapping a spoiler on your car. Yeah. It's the suspension, the horsepower, the gear ratio, the tires. There's a million other things to do to that are going to reap so much more benefits than investing in this crazy spoiler, right? The difference of that and the performance of the car is so irrelevant. So it's but it doesn't mean that people don't use it and there's not spoilers on cars and it doesn't create some downforce and it doesn't help. I'm very aware of that. But in the context of all the things that you can improve on a car before you worry about the spoiler and the downforce that it creates, so many more things to worry about.
Another analogy that's right in line with that is you do all that stuff, you just end up spinning your wheels instead of getting any traction.
That's right. Yeah. It's like take care of the big rocks. And so the advice to the kid who asks a question like that is, man, and it's this simple. Go pick the big 5, right? The row, the squat, the deadlift, the overhead press, the bench press, those 5 movements, and go get great at those. Go become a really good bench presser. Go become a really good overhead presser. Go become a really good deadlifter. Go become a really good squatter. Go get really strong at those movements, and everything else will fall in. Everything else that really matters in the pursuit of building a great physique will come from that foundation. And that was the unfortunate part that I didn't do really well when I was young. That didn't come till way later, and I wish I had figured that out in my early 20s instead of figuring that out in my late 20s. And I would have, because in my late 20s, when that light switch went off for me, the change in my physique from like 26 to 30 was crazy different than it was from 19 all the way to 26. 19 to 26, it was like, I swear, the way my body, at least how I felt, for the way my perception was, if I wasn't aired up from the gym, I didn't even look like I worked out. Yet I'd been working out for years. But then when I got to my mid-20s to late and I started to really understand exercise programming, then I had started to really build a solid foundation and a physique. Okay. Let's dumbbell press over here. So what I'm going to do, since we're reintroducing chest, and I had been doing like a modified incline dumbbell shoulder press, we're going to take it down 1 notch. So it's just a little bit more chest, still some shoulder emphasis, but not quite a traditional bench press or incline press. So we'll maybe well, that's more than I want. Let's go here. Let's go to see what that's like. All right, pray for me. Start with 40. Okay, felt decent. I'm gonna go up a little bit, but at one point we'll stop going up in weight and we'll just slow the tempo down. I miss my chest. That would be the big turning point of this whole journey here, is if I can If I can get back to lifting on my chest, that'll really help us this back half. That's a good burn. We'll take that. We're not that far behind right now, are we?
No, we're only a few days off now.
I'll definitely, obviously today, and we'll get for sure tomorrow again too. Try and catch us back up, staying ahead. I gotta keep an eye on the 2-month mark is next week, I think, right? Because I remember it was like the 6th or the 9th of the beginning of the month. I'm a little nervous on what our results will be on this one. I think I'm pretty good though for traveling for a little while, which is nice. I think going through that while doing this, probably the best takeaway or tip that I can give people is that, but this is my challenge, is one, not overeating crap because you're eating out, but the combination of eating out and potentially overeating calories, which as long as you don't go crazy, that's not the worst thing. But that combined with also missing protein intake and not working out is what's so detrimental. Because imagine if you overate and hit protein intake and still trained, well then what happens is those extra calories you had, and because you lifted and you hit your protein intake, some of that's going to get partitioned over to actually building muscle. And maybe you put on a tiny bit of body fat, but very little. So that's what happens in that case. Let's say you don't work out, but you hit your protein intake and you stay low calories. Well, that's good because you probably won't lose any muscle because you hit your protein intake. You may actually, because you hit low calories, you might actually lean out a little bit. You didn't build per se, but you didn't take a step back because you got leaner and you held your muscle. That's not a bad scenario. But I think what happens to most people, or at least what happens to me, is it becomes really difficult to hit protein intake, to train, and then also not overeat. And it's the combination of all those that really set you back, because it's the over consuming calories with no working out, so there's nowhere to put those calories except for to get stored as body fat. It's the also missing protein. You need to hit that protein intake day in and day out. Every day that you don't, you potentially are taking steps backwards, atrophy sets in, right? You start to potentially lose muscle. So that you go the opposite way in muscle. And then of course the overconsumption of the calories could get stored as body fat. So it's really like the trifecta of not working out. And then you could also throw in the category too, traveling in different time zones and not sleeping at home throws off and disrupts sleep. So you throw off and disrupt sleep, that throws off your hormone balance. Cortisol goes up, your body doesn't build muscle as efficiently, it doesn't burn body fat as efficiently, it's more likely to store and hold on to extra calories. So you have a lot of things working against you. And I think that's why when people go on vacation, they feel like they take such a huge step back. It's because it's all those things that are happening in conjunction. It's not just one. It's not just because you ate a bunch of extra calories. It's not just because you didn't work out. It's not just because you didn't hit protein. It's not just because your sleep wasn't good. It's the combination of all of those create this perfect storm of losing muscle, adding body fat. I'll get one more of those. I don't want to push too much. My chest feels weird. I hope that changes. Okay. Didn't want to push that. So weird because the weight feels light, but my chest feels weird. And so as much as I wanted to keep going right there, it's the first day of introducing that back. So we'll call that a quits right there. That's good. Well, that's good. Another one in the books, boys. Tomorrow, more legs and some shoulder work. And if we're feeling it, maybe some arm stuff.